Good morning.
Wow, good morning. I feel like doing a big giant stretch
Right.
to get the body moving. Good
Yeah.
morning.
Good
Yeah.
morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm feeling good.
Good, good.
All
I'm
right.
feeling good too, a little bit.
Yeah. You look pretty.
Well, thank you. It took me about an hour to kind of spruce myself up this morning. I got
Mm-hmm.
up really early and I said, nice warm shower and I put some war paint lipstick on because of our topic today.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I really appreciate that. Yes. And I'm going to be going to church right after we finish here today.
Okay.
So tell me, how was your week?
Um, my week was okay. I don't think I really did too much. Um, well, anything out of the ordinary that I don't usually do. So
Mhm.
it was good. It was a good week. I don't have any complaints.
All right. All right. I could complain about some stuff, but I'm gonna let it be.
Okay.
We go a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for those that are joining us, this is Sacred Moments with Sacred Space Ministry. I am your host, Reverend B. Michelle Horton, and I love saying this part. We are joined in partnership with the super duper producer, Khadija Phillips, Alter Ego. She told us about that alter ego last week. Give me a tagline too. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know
gotta
what
think
it's
of
going.
something, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking something. Yeah, I don't know what it might be. I like my nickname. My nickname is BB, so I don't know if that
BB.
is like, yeah, BB is my
You
nickname.
need something like, the motivator, the
Ooh,
inspirational, and so I think of something. We gotta think of something cool for you.
I like that. Okay, maybe our audience can help us if they
Yeah.
can maybe send in some suggestions for my what do you call that? Like a tagline or you
Um,
know?
it's just like I guess like a stage name or something like that. I don't.
Yeah.
I got my tagline is expand your network, so that's what like my
Mm,
tagline is.
okay, that's good. Yeah, I might have to work on that. Like the
Yeah.
Real Housewives series, all of them have a tagline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Good
We'll work
morning,
on
Miss Esther. Miss
it.
Esther said good
That's
morning.
on. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's good to see. I think she's got a full day today. We chatted this week, and
Okay.
yeah, I miss your mom.
Yeah, she'll be back tomorrow. So.
Yeah, yeah. I reached out to her. I was like, I know you're on vacation, but you okay?
Right. Oh.
So she tagged me. She texted me last night. I am
See.
I'm really excited about today's show, which is show number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One because of the title, or the theme of our show, which is about choices. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I hope to share this particular piece that I wrote. And the other reason why I'm very excited is because we have a very special guest.
Mhm.
And her name is Flower Child, aka aka granddaughter. So I don't know if I twisted her arm or not, but I asked her to come on and just have a conversation with us. And anybody that was looking at the news this week, we saw a lot of things going on with the Olympics and with the choices that were made with some people. And so I just think it's a really, really good topic. I wanted to share. Let me find my scripture. I wanted to share this scripture that in Joshua chapter 24:15 that could be maybe like a foundation for it. And it says this: if you have no desire to worship the Lord, choose today whom you will worship, whether it be the gods of whom your ancestors worship beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites, or in whose land you're living. But for me and my family, we will worship the Lord. That scripture has kind of been sitting with me when it comes to choosing, because here is a word from the Lord saying, listen, it's up to you, whether
Mhm.
you want to, who you want to worship, um, where you want to be, who you want to be. I like the fact that God, um, the God of my faith, says, I'm going to give you a choice of how you want to live, whether you want to worship, whether you want to leave me or stay. And I think that that is such a way of love. And if God gives us a choice, then I think it's a strength for us to choose. And so
Mhm.
we're talking about choices, we're talking about choosing, and what that looks like for us individually, and I think collectively as a community.
Mhm.
Every week I've been bringing a cup, and I've been forgetting to show you. This cup
Okay.
says, "You're a courageous woman."
Oh,
So
that's nice.
yeah, I have like all the different cups that people have given me. Some would be bringing them.
Okay.
So I thought this cup would be good to drink my hot tea from,
Right.
because we're talking about women who have been courageous and shown their courage.
Okay.
Good morning, Sister Carrie. Sister Carrie's on with us this morning.
Mhm.
So we have a special guest, and I think we're going to bring her in now. Again, Flower
Mhm.
Child. Woo,
Hello.
woo.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody?
How are you this morning? Haven't seen you in a while.
I'm
Good,
good. I'm good. I'm
good.
happy to be here and talk to you ladies.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you. And thank you for accepting the invitation. And I really wanted to have someone that was young, because as a person that is now called an elder, I think it's good for us to also engage with each other, which doesn't always happen.
Right.
I recognize that there are times when, elders think that we have all the answers, and I'm sure that I don't. And I think
Mhm.
that right now we have like three generations right here, and we can,
Mhm.
isn't this a wonderful topic with three generations looking at it from three different perspectives?
Right.
So I think that's going to be a good conversation. Now, before we get started, we pretty much ask all of our guests some questions. And I know Alter Ego has this question that she asks almost everyone, and then I'll think of something to ask.
Okay.
So I want to know if you had a superpower, what would it be?
If I had a superpower, um, I think it would be hmm, to fly anywhere whenever I wanted to.
And why is that? Just so you can get there faster?
Just so I can see the world. It's free. I can just fly. I don't have to pay for
Right.
a ticket or anything, take a bus. So I can just get up and go whenever I wanted to and then come back in a reasonable time.
Okay. That makes sense. Get around faster. I got it.
Right.
So, where would you, since you have this superpower of flying, where would you fly at first?
Hmm. I think I would go to New Orleans
Really?
first. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I would fly to Hawaii. I've been trying to
Really?
get to Hawaii since I was in my teens, and I still haven't made
Funny.
it there yet.
I wonder though, like if you had a superpower to fly, like what would the speed be like? Because you can really take a plane and go to all those places. So like I would have to be able to get there faster, or else I'll like, you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you flying like
Just fly.
Superman flying, or you could just fly regular fly. Like it kind of depends on how fast you are.
Yeah.
Miss Esther says she agrees. Flying is great.
That would be her superpower, flying. Wow.
Hmm.
Mm. Okay, here's another question. If you could take three things, just three, to a desert island, what would they be?
Hmm. don't know. I guess some sort of device that would help me get water. That'd be the first thing.
Mhm.
Um, hmm. I don't know, something for entertainment. So I guess probably a notebook. Um,
Mhm.
and then
Like an electric notebook, like a notebook, or like I
yeah, like pen and paper.
oh,
Just write stuff down.
okay.
And then food, I guess. Yeah, those are the three things I'd bring. Yeah.
How about
What
you,
about
Alter
you?
Ego?
Yeah.
Definitely bring a book. Um, or maybe I'll bring like my Kindle. It probably would die eventually, but it's I have a lot of books on there, so that'll get me, through a little bit. A notebook, and a pen to write in, and um, probably one of those, dried out foods that you can have that last for like 30 years. One of those buckets. They got them at Walmart for like $20.
Do
I have a couple. If my mom was here, she would say I'm preparing for the zombie apocalypse.
that?
That's a different topic, but so yeah, I would take one of those so I can eat for a while.
Okay. Yeah. I would have to think about that, so I'll answer that question another time. Okay. So let's get started on our conversation. And I hope that our audience would definitely jump in. Have you heard about Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, and I'm going to throw out another name, Nicole Hannah Jones? These are three Black women who've made some choices that have put them in the national spotlight. Well, they really already were in the national spotlight, but even more so. So I wonder, have our audience even heard about that? And the reason why I bring those three women up is because right at this particular moment, they have been making choices, and their choices have actually been discussed, dissected, looked at, affirmed, talked about. Um, their choices have come with joy and pain in their life, and actually, that's what choices do. If we look at the definition, the choice is the act of selecting or making a decision when faced with possibilities, two or more possibilities. And so, what since you've heard about this conversation, ladies, what do you think about their choices and how actually their choices have impacted not just their lives, but are the lives of people around them, and helped us to see that maybe some of our choices could be either um, have been made in haste, or were good choices or bad choices. That was like a loaded question.
um, I don't know. I feel like in this particular scenario, the choices that they made were for the betterment of their mental health. And in reality, I feel like women in particular were not taught to take breaks for ourselves. We're taught to just push ourselves and keep going, even when something is wrong, even when we're like mentally burnt out. We're just taught to um, keep working, keep doing whatever, and we're never taught to just take a minute to ourselves and really evaluate if we're healthy enough to push ourselves the way that we are. So I feel like it was very courageous of them to um, identify that they needed to sit down for a minute, even though, all of the accolades that they're getting, and even though they have the spotlight on them, they recognize the importance of just taking a minute before you embark on something as huge as the Olympics and competing and, pushing your body to that limit.
Yeah.
Um, I feel I see both sides of it. On one hand, I feel like as women, as Black women in particular, we aren't really seen unless we're doing something for somebody else. So whether it's a
Mm,
sport, doing something for your kids, doing something for your community, like you have to actually be doing something. You can't just be. So I
Right.
kind of feel like that's why so much pressure on them more so than anyone else. And then I also feel like the people who are commentating um, haven't had the same amount of pressure to even be able to talk about them the way that they are. And that's what's frustrating for me. I actually just read something before we started the show. I can't remember his name. He's a tennis player, and he basically said part of the game is being under pressure, and if you can't deal with it, you shouldn't be competing, right? But then he got frustrated, threw his racket, broke his racket, yelled at the ref, and it's like if you haven't been under that amount of pressure, you can't really speak to it. But on the other hand, I kind of feel like when you put yourself in a situation like that, you're going, you want to compete in the Olympics, you're being a part of their games, you're going to have more pressure because you're Black and you're a female than your counterparts. So you kind of set yourself up to be the person that has the most pressure to do well, to succeed, to win, um, and in order to win, you have to be 10 times better than everybody else. So you go in knowing that, and especially for, what's her name? Osaka, that one.
Naomi. Yeah.
Yeah, part of your agreement is you have to speak to the media. Like that's how you get your endorsement. That's how you get paid. So for you to not want to do that because of the pressure that you have on you, I think that's kind of weird because that is what you're doing. That's what you signed up for. So on one hand, I understand that, you know, taking a break for your mental health is important, but also knowing that when you go into these type of situations, this is what you have to deal with. Especially being a woman and being Black, you already know that the pressure is going to be more than anybody else that you're competing with that's not a Black woman. You're going to have way more pressure on you. So I don't know, like I just don't like to hear people talk down about them because you probably couldn't even, run a mile without being winded. So you don't really, your opinion isn't really that valid to me. Let's look at the audience's take on it. um,
Yeah.
Missy said, I believe that only you know your internal temperature or breaking point. You know when you need to stop and bow out. Mental health is necessary to be attended to in all walks of life. And then Miss Esther said, I agree with Diana. Until you walk in their shoes, the comments should be kept to themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, like the definition of choice is making a decision with faced with maybe it says two or more possibilities. And so, the one side of it is that yes, we may I'll use being a mom, right? Yeah, I became a mom, and that was the choice, maybe kind of sort of. But as you go forward, you still have to make other choices that you didn't even know that you had to make until you grew in that and things evolved. So even with like Naomi saying that she needed to not be able to speak to people, it may not be forever, but in this particular moment she could be saying something because of her mental issues in that moment that weren't even going to be healthy, not just for her, but for someone else. So she had to make a choice in that moment. Yes, this is what I signed up for. Part of it is part of what I signed up for. But maybe my choice can be: do we need to talk to do you need to talk to me after every tennis match? Like there are things that people make choices that change history. This is the way it was, but until somebody else made a different choice, it didn't change until somebody said, can we look at this? Can we look at this differently? So what Simone Biles did, when I did a little bit more investigation, is that she dropped out of the Olympic trials because not only was she caring for her mental health, but her physical health, because of some of the trauma that she had already gone through and how it, was coming back to her.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that we don't talk about is she made a choice to help her teammates, because she could have just kept going, and really the gold medal was going to be because of what she was going to do for the team. So because she stepped back, they were able to get a medal, not gold, but do you want to have somebody so injured? If they were physically injured, would we be pushing them? If she broke her leg, would we just be saying, you know what, let's let her get healed? But because it
Right.
was mental issues, it's looked at differently. What do you say about that, Flower Child?
I just feel like when it comes to mental health, a lot of people just don't take it as seriously as they should. A lot of people feel like mental health is kind of a cop out reason to not do anything. And the reality is, if she's saying that her mental health was not matching up with her physical health and her physical ability, she could have really hurt herself.
Yeah.
The sport that she's playing is not an average sport. It's not you know a wide media sort of sport. It's a very small sport that a lot of people don't get into because their body cannot handle it. So she could have really, injured herself, and then people would have I feel like people would have still said that she quit in some sort of way because her body, cracked under pressure. So I would have rather her, sat out and really take care of herself and then come back and do it again. I don't feel
Yeah.
like she's saying that she's never ever going to compete again, or she's just giving it all up because this is her life. She's dedicated a good portion of her life to this specific sport. So her saying that she just needs a moment to get herself together, I don't think it should be frowned upon. Yeah, I just don't think it should be frowned upon.
I think it took a lot of courage for, all of them to make that decision because, a lot of our choices we make are sometimes behind closed doors or not in front of the world.
Yeah,
Yes.
So everybody has an opinion on,
right,
what they're doing. So that in and of itself, it's probably was more pressure for them to make that decision than to actually go forward with what they intended to do.
right.
Um, Carrie said, I'm striving to not make judgments, but listen and give grace in situations that I have not experienced. Self care and mental health is so important, and I'm glad we are finally addressing it in the Black community. Um, Missy said, I also believe that this isn't a normal Olympic setting. COVID has changed everything, the pressure, the lack of family and crowd support, the constant health provisions behind the scenes. All of those things are adding the normal competition pressures, and that should be taken into account. And Shanita says self care is a necessity. Yeah, for some reason I just feel like Black women just always have to do above and beyond. And if she, like you said, Ayana, if she would have went ahead and hurt herself or caused them to place even lower, then there would be so much conversation around it
Right.
too. It's like you can't win, you can't win. Just I think Chris Rock said it in the stand up. He was like, he was like, I do well as a comedian, I make a lot of money. And I moved into a housing area, and my neighbors are like Jay-Z, Mary J. Blige, but the guy who lives right next door to me is a dentist. He was like, he's a regular dentist. He's not a celebrity
Yeah.
dentist or anything like that. He's a regular dentist. And my point is that, Black people have to jump over hoops and hurdles just to be where their counterpart could just walk to. So being Black and being a woman, I just feel like everybody has a comment on how they should have pushed past their mental health issues, their physical issues to I mean, what did you want her to do? Break her leg? Like you wanted her to go that
Yeah.
far? You know what I mean? So it's like give
Yeah.
her a break. Give them all a
Right.
break. Give them grace, the same grace you would want if it was you in that
Right.
situation.
And the thing, even with women, and this was a white girl, I can't think of her name right now. And I remember it was in the gymnastics, maybe in the 80s or 90s. And she won the gold, but she broke her ankle.
Mm-hmm.
And the team was like, "Oh my God!" And and they encouraged her. Well, your ankle's broken, but go out and do it for the country. Do it for you. So what? Your ankle will be okay. And she hobbled and did this amazing jump, and she was wonderful. But can you imagine the pressure that of having that think that you're the only person that can save the world, get the
Mm-hmm.
goal, come through. The
Yeah.
amount of mental pressure on a person for that. And
Yeah.
again, we're talking about choices. And see, the thing is, what I really like, this is the example I got about it is sometimes people feel like they don't have a choice. And what
Mm-hmm.
these young ladies have shown us that in the midst of everything going on and all of these people saying, this is what you must do, they showed us that you always have a choice. Now, there's
Mm-hmm.
consequences to all of our choices, but they've helped us to see that we should have a choice, because if we don't have a choice, we don't have hope.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things go together.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, as someone, a person of faith, that hope is something that can carry you even when other things are not going your way. I can
Mm-hmm.
still have hope. and
Mhm.
and some and oftentimes we put hope in what other people can say and do for us, instead of putting that, knowing that we have that hope inside of us by making a choice that's beneficial for us.
I know that I taught I like that's what I teach my kids. Like I'm telling you to do this. It's everything you do has a consequence. So you can either do this or that, and then you have to be ready to deal with the consequence because that's life. Um, Shania said, if we don't take care of ourselves, we will suffer. I'm all for taking self care. And then Ramel said, don't you guys think she's more disappointed in herself not being able to continue her dream? Negative feedback from society will take her deeper into her mental illness because it brings depression.
Right.
I'm not sure how disappointed she would be in her. I think that that is a part of it, but she recognized, we're talking about Simone now, she recognized that she could injure herself to take her out of the sport completely.
Right.
That this was just, and this is where mental illness also comes in. It's almost like, people, as one of my former pastors says, like people, who commit suicide, right? It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's temporary. This is one particular moment in time, but it's not the fullness of time. Because we all have a life to live beyond these particular moments that we're
Mm-hmm.
in, where we're making a choice to step away from something or to go forward in something. It is just a moment
Mm-hmm.
in the scheme of an entire lifetime. So yes, we're always going to have disappointments. And I think that we do a disservice to each other to say, we're never going to be disappointed. We're never going to make a wrong choice, and a wrong choice to doesn't have to weigh on us so heavy, because we
Right.
can make another choice later. you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I think what Romel was saying was interesting, but I think that we have to remember that choices are temporary, and we can make another choice even when we make a wrong choice. I'm
Did you
sure that
have a
all of us on here have made wrong choices, have we not?
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I was going to ask Flower Child, what did you think about what Romel said? You kind of were shaking your head a little bit, like right, right. So I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
I kind of agree with what she's saying because I understand that even you can make another choice in in the moment that she's in. I feel like she would be feeling disappointed because you worked so hard to get to this point, and then it's like, wait a minute, this is a bit too much. And then you have to stop. So she does have to kind of cope with the fact that she's put all this hard work in, she's gotten all this attention from people who are rooting for her, and then she's telling these people that she has to take a time, she has to take a minute for herself. Um, so of course that would make her feel, that um, she's just disappointed in the fact that she wasn't able to go on, and that she wasn't able to um, basically make all of these people happy with the decisions that she made, or the medal that she would have won had she continued. Um, so I feel like she is a bit disappointed, but I also feel that she'll come back again, and she'll get over it once she gets herself together. She can always try again, but in this moment she probably is grieving. This is a grieving process. She just lost something that she worked so hard for, and she had to take a step back, and then she has to deal with the negative comments that she's getting from people, plus the disappointment that she may be feeling, and the disappointment that she feels around her from the people that are supporting her. So yeah, I feel like she may be having a hard time with that.
I think this is the time that we should all like rally around her. Like even if you don't necessarily agree with her decision and why she did it. Like she may not be disappointed. She may be very happy with the decision that she made. She made the choice, so I'm sure she thought about it, and it wasn't like a let me, a snap decision. So I
Yeah.
feel like, however we feel about how she may feel, because we really don't know all of these women. Honestly, we this should be the time that we just rally together. I just feel like it's always so much division um, in our community, and we don't know. Like she made that decision, so I'm pretty sure that she was like, you know what, this is the best decision for me right now, regardless of everything else, regardless of the fact that, because like I said, for me it's twofold. I can understand how people are,
Yeah.
like yeah, she should have did X, Y, and Z, but at the same time, the fact that she made that decision, that's probably the biggest decision she, a bigger decision than you and I probably would have to make. Like she had the United States of America, she had to tell them, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So she may not be, she might be home right now, like happy. She was rooting for her teammates. She helped them. She didn't just like leave them and quit. She wasn't bitter about it. So I tend to believe that she's probably like, I'm glad I did that. Like that was the best thing for me. But then we have to ask our, Shanita said, then we have to ask ourselves, are we projecting disappointment onto her?
Excellent point. What are we doing? And I think a lot of times we have to make the choice. I'm going to tell you something that I've been really thinking about lately is not always responding to things on social media. Like I'm making that choice that I can have an opinion, but I don't have to go on and sit behind my screen on Twitter and tell the world every opinion that I have. And neither do I need to read all of the opinions that other people have about me and you. That's something that we can choose. We're talking about choices. So, there's people who love to read their press reports. And then there's times, everybody's happy, everybody loves them, we pump them up, and then somebody does something, and it's just like all of a sudden we turn our back on people, but that's a choice that we make in this social media world. We're making choices to talk about everybody, not knowing. I think it was Carrie that said that we haven't experienced what these all of these young ladies have gone through. None of us have experienced the work, the effort, the time to put in. Not having a normal, quote, normal life to become these athletes in the work, but we will sit back and make an opinion about what somebody can do and what somebody can't do. So I think alter ego, you mentioned it earlier. I think like we put, and I think Flower Child, you said that the amount of weight that's on a black woman's body to perform in some way, whether it's to perform um, 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 in sports, whether it's to perform sexually, whether it's to perform in whatever roles that we have or assigned to us or we put ourselves in. It is an enormous amount of weight to put on our own selves, and we have to make the choice that I don't have to look like anybody else, be like anybody else, speak like anybody else, dance like anybody else, live like anybody else, that I have to make the choice for myself to be who I was meant to be, not beyond your opinion of what I was supposed to be or you think I should be.
Yep. My mom, Miss Esther said, my mom used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, keep your mouth shut. She also said, everyone doesn't need to hear from me. Yeah, like I just really believe that, and this is something that I've been thinking about lately. Like women in general, especially black women, they just like you have to be doing something or else people don't see you. So that's probably why it's so much flack on her because it's like, so if you're not doing this for us, then what are you doing? Well, I'm taking care of myself. People don't understand it. Like it's just a wild concept. The fact that she said, I'm choosing me. They all said, I'm choosing me. That's wild for people to hear that because usually you know pushing yourself is what's appreciated and applauded. If you push yourself past this level, if you go above and beyond, then they want to applaud for you. But just saying, I love me enough to say I'm choosing me right now is a big deal and it's a problem for a lot of people. And that's wild. Like I think making a choice is courageous, period.
Yes.
Because just in and of itself, choosing one thing over the other, because whatever you do, somebody somewhere is going to have a problem with it, whichever decision you make. And the fact that they made such a huge decision is a big deal for me. And I applaud the fact that they did that and chose themselves. Because again, most people don't do that because nobody cares if you choose yourself. They only care if you're choosing to do what the majority of people want you to do. So I think that I don't think they're sitting somewhere upset and depressed. I think they're probably like, wow, I did that. Like that was a big deal. That was probably more courageous than them actually going out to compete.
So I'm going to ask a question then. Flower Child, you want to respond to what Alter Ego said, or you want to gear yourself for this question that I'm getting ready?
Yeah, you can ask your question.
So in your young life, there were choices that you had to make. And I'm thinking of one that I made that now I think was courageous. What choice would you say, and you can both answer this, what choice would you say where you finally thought, I'm going to choose myself? And not in a selfish way, but in a courageous way. And you're reaping the benefits of that now.
Um, hmm. I mean, I chose myself when hmm, I realized that I wasn't being emotionally aware of like how I was feeling and why I was feeling what I was feeling. And I made a decision to really put my emotions first and really begin to analyze why I was feeling certain ways instead of just, sweeping them under the rug and then continuing on with work and with school. So I kind of just made it my business to take a minute to myself and um, really just do self check ins and
Love that.
make sure that what I was feeling was accurate and it wasn't just me picking up the emotions of the people around me and things like that. So that's one instance where I chose myself first.
I love that you said you checked with yourself
Mhm.
and, making a choice to not look outside of yourself for the
Mhm.
problems and the issues that sometimes affect us is
Yeah.
courageous.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be your grandmother. Woo,
What about you, ladies?
Um, Honestly, I don't really choose me a lot. I think it's like a trauma response. I have to keep going because if I stop and take time for myself, I don't think I would really know what to do. However, I did like when I left my job because I was so miserable. I kind of, that was definitely, for me to kind of just have time to breathe and to do everything that I need to do for the kids and to not be required to do this at this time and this at this time at this job. Getting up every day, being miserable, going to work, it just wasn't working anymore.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact, you need a paycheck, you had to do X, Y, and Z. Like I took a bet on myself
Yeah.
um, to do that for myself. So that was very courageous. Jumping out there didn't have like a parachute or anything like that. So that was one of the courageous things that I did. But I definitely, need to take more time just for myself and make more decisions for me. A lot of decisions I make aren't really for myself.
Mhm.
Let's see. We had a couple more comments. We have to be more comfortable. We have to become comfortable in our own skin, and making the best choice for our own well being is huge. And Miss Esther said the choice that she made for herself is when she retired at 51.
Amen. Um, I want to share as we kind of come to the close if there's anything else either one of you want to say. But I did want to bring up one other person that we didn't talk about, and that was Nicole Hannah Jones. I don't know if this wasn't an athletic choice, this was an academic and emotional and mental choice as well. She's a Pulitzer Prize winner. She's the author of the 1619 Project, investigative journalist for the New York Times, and she was professor at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which was her alma mater. And generally, you work for so long in that position, and you get tenured, which means you'll be there forever. Not forever, but you're tenured. And what happened is they didn't offer her tenureship. So even we it's not just black bodies, it's black minds. And so because they didn't offer it to her, a lot of people, rallied behind her, and finally they decided to offer her tenureship, but she chose to walk away from that space, a space that tolerated her and not celebrated her and even honored the work that she had done. And so we have to get to the place where we know we are enough and that we can choose for ourselves what's right, and I'm going to say righteous for ourselves. So it's knowing inherently that we are worth the effort to choose rightly for our own physical, mental, financial, relational, spiritual self. All of that is important. I want to um, share a little bit of this piece. And I'll say I have to come back to this always because I hear a lot of people in my head and in my ears telling me different things about what I should be and who I should be. Always like, you should do this and you should do that. Does that sound familiar to both of you? Even our own selves, not choosing yourself, alter
Yeah.
ego. Um, but one day all of it kind of came together for me, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's probably like 5 minutes, but I wrote this piece like a resistance piece, and it's called "I'm Not Who You Want Me to Be Just Because You Want Me to Be It." And that's really a piece that talks about, I'm not my size, my hair, my title, my sorority. I'm more than, the number on my pair of jeans. I'm more than a bad hair day. I'm more than what's in my bank account, my political affiliation, the wrinkles, everything. I'm more than all of what you say I should be just because you want me to be it. I choose to be who I am as God has created and ordained and blew life into me. And once you get to that, and I've come back to that because I've chosen wrongly, but once you come back to knowing that I'm not who you want me to be, just because you want me to be it, it gives you a sense of courage to choose better, to choose yourself, to choose righteously, not just rightly, but righteously. And once we do that, not only do we choose ourselves, we show people that it's all right. We show other people that it's all right to choose rightly for them. And so I'm really hoping that this conversation sparked something in all of us to look at our choices, to make the choices that will be helpful to our own human self and to those that God has, placed with us. I choose I choose to leave the burden of yesterday and yesterday so that I can experience the blessing of God in this new day. I choose to leave the discouragement of yesterday and yesterday so I can experience the deliverance of God in this new day. I choose to leave the grief of yesterday and yesterday so I can experience the gift of God in this new day. I choose to leave the hurt of yesterday and yesterday so I can experience the healing of God in this new day, in this new day, in every new day. I can choose. And so I choose God, the Father, God, the Son, and God, the Holy Spirit, this day and every day. And if I choose the triune God, all things are possible. Thank you. Thank you, Flower Child, aka Ayana A, aka Bean, aka Go Getter, Wakanda Forever.
Why do they call you Flower Child? I wanted to ask you that before we wrap up.
Oh, Ayana means beautiful flower, so we just Flower Child was, a name, a nickname.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you ladies for having me.
Great, great. Come again anytime.
For
Okay.
sure.
Bye.
Bye
Thanks for
guys.
being here. See you guys next week, 9 a.m.